Hello ladies and gentlemen, let's pick off where we left off. Pick up. We are in the widget blueprint and we are just having a look at, we've just created the event dispatcher, we've set the mouse to work on the screen, and what we're going to do now is have a little think about how we are going to get, or what we're going to populate on these buttons, because at the moment they will just say that and it doesn't really give the user enough information. So this information is going to change every time with a new card. So every time the player picks up a card, one of these images will display, and what we want to display on the image, on the button, is any reference to the views, subscriptions, uploads and positions of this YouTube personality. So we are now going to create a data table, and that data table will be populated from a spreadsheet, and the information from that spreadsheet will then be stripped out and kind of populated on the buttons. Okay, so we are building a structure first of all. I'm gonna be creative with my naming. I'll call this my struct. Yes. And what we're going to do here is double click that and open it. So what is this? Well, this effectively, if you know anything about databases, is a data table. This is the bit where you declare effectively what you want in each column of your table. Okay, so if I just pull over a spreadsheet which I've created for this game, this is a list of all of the images that I've inserted, and these are all of the stats for the views, the person subscriptions, the personality uploads, the personality's position in the leaderboards. Okay, and what I want to do is delete that word name. This column needs to be blank. Probably, this is the way I'm doing it. You may have an additional column in here with a reference for each one. You might want to, call that, player 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. And then, or reference 1, and then have the names in an additional column. Because actually pulling these names out of this table is a bit more difficult afterwards. Anyway, what I have to do then is go File, Save As, and we're going to save this to my desktop. Okay, and we're going to save it as a comma delimited file. Okay, so rather than being an Excel workbook, we want this to be a CSV. Okay, and that saves. We're going to keep that form. Yeah, so we're going to keep that form and click yes. There. Okay, and this is now just one sheet. You shouldn't have any extra tabs. We'll just export this one sheet. Okay, so I can close this. I can't actually run this. I can't actually import this CSV while it's open. But while it is open, let's just populate my structure here. So the first column was views. Okay, so I'm not including the names column, and it's a string value that we're going to add. Oh, it's not, sorry, pardon me, it's an integer value, because the number of views is a numeric value, not a string alphanumeric value, which is what a string is. Okay, and then we're going to add another new variable. This one is subscriptions, and it's actually really important that you actually call it exactly what you've called it in the spreadsheet. So subscriptions will have to be written in full. Let's do the uploads and position, and I'm using integers, but you could use dates. The kind of data that you have in your table could vary, but obviously the relevance here is that I am going to calculate, which one of these cards, when it's selected, has a higher value or lower value in positions case than the others. So, this guy's number 1 Sky, but he has less views than Stampy. So, I could win with this card against that card, and so on and so forth. So we're dealing with that kind of formula. So you don't want to have text fields in here, because you can't calculate the value of one text field to be higher or lower than another text field, unless you're kind of working on a word game. So let's close this down. On this time I've already saved it, so I'm going to click the don't save there. And I've saved this, so I can close this. Oops. We're going to go back into here, and I'm going to just navigate to my desktop here and find that Stampy data CSV, and I'm going to drop it in here. Okay, can't actually click on this anymore. It won't let me move it, won't minimize it. I have to click on the screen here. This is waiting for something here. I have to drop down this data table row type and select my struct like that, and click OK, and all being good, you won't get any errors. If you do get any errors, if you check your columns here, you probably, these columns have to be identical to the column names in your CSV file, and then it can import it, and obviously the data types need to match, obviously. So if you've got integers, if you've got numbers, purely numeric values, and these are whole numbers, if I was dealing with a decimal point, then you would obviously bring, well, not obviously, but you would bring in a float value, which is a floating point number, which contains a decimal point. I'm dealing with whole numbers, and that's what I'm getting there. So that's worked. Okay. Right. Let's move on. We'll just call that one a quick break there, just for